Robert Buckland, welcome to the programme. Now, you were involved in the talks on what has become the so-called Malthouse compromise. I won't go into the details of that for the moment, but it involved Brexiteers and it involved some people who are more on the Remain side or more inclined to that. But you were involved in these talks, backbench talks. Why?
Because I felt it very important, Andrew, to actually try and offer a constructive way forward. You know, lots of people have put themselves into entrenched positions telling us what they don't like. And I think it was incumbent upon all of us to just get involved and try and move the debate along. And I think to some measure we've managed to do that in the last few days.
Was the Prime Minister aware of your involvement?
Yes, she was, and
although
she wasn't specifically aware of these talks, she was certainly aware that, and in fact encouraged MPs and parliamentarians to actually talk to each other and to try and help her get a way forward.
Yes, but was she aware that you were involved in these talks?
Well, no, because these talks were private. They were talks between colleagues. But I can tell you that the idea of colleagues from different ends of the party, different traditions, if you like, coming together was something that she very much encouraged and was happy about when she heard the outcome.
So why, if she was so in favour of all this, why didn't you let her know that's what you were doing?
Well, look, because let's face it, we've got people here who come from really defined positions. You know, I've been fighting for pro-Europeanism ever since I learnt about politics, and then on the other side, Jacob Rees-Mogg and Steve have been well-known Eurosceptics. You know, it's difficult for individuals with that track record to take a step forward. But we did that. We took a step forward, first of all, in private, and then we're able to do that in public. And I think that was a significant moment.
But if ministers are able to freelance in negotiations with backbenchers like this, without 10 Downing Street's knowledge, is the Prime Minister in control of her government?
These are extraordinary times, Andrew, and I think
so
that they require extraordinary solutions. She is, because she made it clear when I met her the day or two after the big defeat, that she wanted me, she wanted, in fact, colleagues of all persuasions across the party to start communicating with each other. I followed that instruction. And as a result of that, we've come up with a proposal.
Now, this proposal has been dubbed the Malthouse Compromise. Part one of the compromise does involve trying to renegotiate a change in the backstop. You've seen what's been coming out of Brussels so far. They say it's not on. How high do you rate the chances of changing the backstop?
Well, first of all, I think it's inevitable to expect a reaction from Mr Barnier and others of this nature, because they've yet to determine a mandate or a decision-making process to actually reopen any negotiations. So, as you know, Andrew, the structures within the EU are pretty strict, and therefore you're not going to get movement until there's been decisions from other elements of the EU. But on our side of the English Channel, I do think that what we've done is open up a proper discussion here, one that has to take place at pace, I accept, because the clock is ticking, but one that can lead us potentially into a space where not just Conservatives can agree on a way forward, but that other parliamentarians across the House can come together to support a withdrawal agreement that works for Ireland.
Right, but given that it is, I mean, the policy of the government, it has kind of adopted part of the Malthouse Compromise now. The Prime Minister says she is going to attempt to renegotiate the backstop element of the withdrawal agreement. What happens next? What do you expect the European Union to do now?
Well, I think the ball is still in our court. And what I think has to happen next is that the government needs to consider the proposals alongside other alternatives that it can look at, come together with an agreed position, and then take that to Brussels. You know, understandably, the EU are saying to us, what do you want? Sure. Well, let's try and define that first quickly and clearly, and then get out there.
Minister, I thought the Prime Minister had defined it. The Prime Minister said we can change the backstop in one of three ways. We're not, she says, ideological about it. We can We can have a unilateral withdrawal from it. We can have an exit date, or we can have a sunset clause on them. And she gave the impression she'd be happy with all three. What more do you have to decide?
Well, that issue is the specific issue about whether or not the backstop should have a termination date or a termination clause. But there are other aspects of the backstop as well that we need to look at. And because she indicated that she wished to consider the Malthouse Compromise and its ideas, then that is very much in the mix. And I think it's right of her to look at the detail and have a frank conversation about the workability of these ideas in order to then present a clear and consistent platform.
So if you say it's still, the ball is still in the British government's court on this, as Mr. Juncker was saying yesterday in the European Parliament, when are you going to make up your mind? When are you going to tell us what the British government's position is?
Well, as I said, Andrew, we've got to work at pace, and this needs to be done quickly. But I'm assured from all the discussions I'm having, and they continue, yesterday, today, tomorrow, that we are getting to a position where we can make that detailed, specific set of requests. And I think it's then that the Europeans are going to say, we understand what it is that you want.
Really?
Let's negotiate. Yes, because they've made it clear all the way along that they want specificity, they want clarity.
They've made it clear all the way along that they don't want to renegotiate the withdrawal agreement.
Well, as I said, Andrew, one can understand that until a mandate, until a decision, until instructions have been given from the 27, from the Commission, to those who have been negotiating on behalf of the EU, they're going to stick to their position.
All right. But can I just, I know we're running out of time, let's ask you this. Why would you not, since the Prime Minister's indicated that she would be happy with either one of the three reforms, changes to the backstop, why don't you give the EU the option to choose which one?
Well, look, this is a negotiation.
That would be a negotiation.
I have an open mind on these things. I want to try and make sure that we have a workable backstop. That's why I think the Prime Minister needs as many options as possible that are workable and realistic. And I believe then we will get to a position where the EU will want to debate the specifics, and that we can make that breakthrough that is so important to get the deal.
Can you give us a backstop to the backstop then? When will you backstop talking about the backstop and go to Brussels?
Well, look,
if you follow me.
Yeah, I do.
I'm not even sure I follow myself.
Well,
but
I know.
Carry on.
We've been backstopping and backstopping. I agree. It sounds like some sort of Strictly Come Dancing routine. But I think where we need to be now is we've got that fortnight right up to mid-February. She set out the timetable in the debate a couple of days ago. That is the time frame within we've got to work, within we must work. And then I think that gives us just about enough time to get it back out there and to give her the chance to come back to Parliament with that all-important, meaningful vote.
All right. We know you've got a busy day today, so we thank you for joining us.